Welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco. I'm here to talk about a Song of Ice and Fire character, a rather important Song of Ice and Fire character. Not really a small character to this one, because we're talking about Baelon Targaryen, Balon the Brave, the Spring Prince, and the Silver Fool. You guys don't know what's going on here. This is what's going on here. Definitely pause this, read this if you're wondering why it's just a dude and it's not well polished and I'm just ranting at you. Well, this might explain it. Maybe. And also spoilers for the books. And I guess one of the shows, I don't know, maybe. They say his name like once in House of the Dragon. A couple times. All right, let's get into Baelon Targaryen. Ugh. All right. Baelon Targaryen. Prince Baelon to you, also known as the Spring Prince for the season of his birth, and the Brave, which we'll get to how he gets that nickname, was a member of House Targaryen and was the fourth born child to King Jaehaerys the first Targaryen and good Queen Alysanne Targaryen. And I will most likely be calling Jaehaerys Jerry and Queen Alysanne good Queen Alysanne. I think I respect one more. Baelon was born in 57 AC, 2 days after the White Ravens flew from the Citadel to signal the start of spring. As such, he was dubbed the Spring Prince. Baelon was named after Baelon Targaryen, who once ruled as a Lord of Dragonstone before Aegon's conquest. At birth, Baelon was smaller than his older brother Aemon. He was louder and lustier, however. It's weird that he says lustier. I know that you can lust over things more than, like, you know, sexual stuff, but whenever somebody's like, that baby is lusty, it's like, ugh, what are you talking about? Staring at his wet nurse is goofy? What do you mean? His wet nurse complained that they had never known a child who would suck so hard. Man, this guy sucks so hard. After a year after his birth, Baelon was present at a tourney at King's Landing on the anniversary of Jaehaerys' coronation. So, I'm going to talk a lot about his rivalry with his older brother. And as you saw there, I said he is the fourth born child of Jaehaerys. So you're like, all right, so fourth born, but he only has one older brother? Correct. So the eldest brother died, right, as an infant. And then there is a older sister named Daenerys. And then there's Aemon and then Baelon. So keep that in mind. Fourth born child, second son. The second living son, I should say that. Okay, cool. House Targaryen. Have you guys ever heard of this small, obscure house? House Targaryen of King's Landing is a noble family of Valyrian descent who once ruled the seven kingdoms of Westeros. The Targaryen sigil is a red three-headed dragon breathing red flames on black. The house words are fire and blood. The only family of dragon lords who survived the doom of Valyria all the way, right? A couple of them did, but yeah, they didn't make it long. The Targaryens left the Valyrian freehold 12 years before the Doom. They resided for more than a century on Dragonstone until Aegon the Conqueror and his sister wives Visenya and Rhaenys began the First War of Conquest. During Aegon's conquest, the family built the Aegon Fort, a new capital city on King's Landing. Of King's Landing. Yeah, they started building this capital, right? The Aegon Fort was later torn down and replaced by the Red Keep, which remained their main seat for the duration of their dynasty, which has housed the Iron Throne. And House Targaryen ruled the kings as kings of the Andals, Rhaenyra, and the First Men, and the Lords of the Seven Kingdoms, and the Great House of the Crownlands for nearly 300 years. We're only talking starting at, what did I say, 57, going up to close to 100. I'm not going to spoil it. No, I actually think he makes it to 101, doesn't he? Yeah. I did spoil it. All right, cool. All right. We got a lot to do here. So Balon the Brave, as the children grew, Grand Maester Bennifer, just a Grand Bennifer. He is the best Bennifer, by the way. Way more than when Ben Affleck and Angelina, was it? No, Jennifer Aniston? Yeah. Way better when they were Bennifer. Weren't they Bennifer at one point? Watch them closely for wounds left by, oh yeah, here. He watched them very closely for the wounds left by Aenys and Maegor were still fresh for the older lords. And was worried that Aemon and Balon could once turn on each other and bathe the realm in blood and fire. But not needed. He need not worry, for no brothers were closer than Balon and Aemon. Well, keep in mind, Aenys and Maegor were half brothers, and they had different moms. And of course, there's nothing wrong with having a family like that. But specifically, Maegor was bigger and younger, and Visenya, very complicated character, Visenya Targaryen, but was definitely like, should have been you, into Maegor's ear. They got the same mom, same dad, same grandparents, incest. And they definitely don't have a reason to have that rivalry, really, unless Balon just ended up being a jerk, and he didn't. So yeah. He need not be worried. No, what does it say? No brothers. Yeah. So So Balon admired his older brother Aemon growing up, and as Balon could walk, he finally began following Aemon around everywhere he went. And when Aemon began training at arms with a wooden sword, Balon was deemed too young to join. And regardless, Balon brought a stick into the yard and began watching at Aemon, reducing their massive, whacking at Aemon, not watching, whacking at Aemon, reducing the Master at Arms to helpless laughter. So yeah. If you guys know that classic thing, I had an older brother, and everything he did, I did. So everything he did, I did for the first time 4 years younger, right? These guys are even closer than that. But yeah, when your brother starts skateboarding, you want to skateboard. When your brother plays a video game, you want to do it, right? I don't know if that, and maybe not everybody has that relationship, but I definitely did with my brother. So this is very relatable. It's also how you get really good music taste, because you get music taste of the guy who's like a couple years older than you. So you're like introducing like high school level stuff to the junior high. You know what I'm talking about. They did that too. They had really good musical taste. Aemon discovered grunge, so Balon could learn it. Anyways, so he followed him into the yard and hit him with a stick and made everybody laugh. After that, Balon took his stick sword everywhere, even to bed. Yeah, well, you don't know when you need it. Balon and Aemon would become very close, training together at arms every day in spirited contests, which drew large crowds of spectators. Aemon was shy around dragons at first, but not Balon. The first time he visited the dragon pit, he hit Balon on the snout, causing Sir Samgood of the Kingsguard, Samgood of Sour Hill, to remark, "He was either brave or mad, that one." And ever since, Balon was known as Balon the Brave. I don't believe that story. I think that's just made up propaganda bullcrap of like, oh, he hit the dragon on the head. Oh, the dragon that's head's the size of the room I'm sitting in, and this 4-year-old's like, okay, I have a 4-year-old. She wouldn't go to, well, she's going to be 5 by the time this video comes out. It's her birthday in 3 days. Yeah, so it was a couple weeks ago. I'm filming this before this. She would walk up to it. She can't even handle walking up to a foam T-Rex at a dinosaur safari. She's not going to walk up and hit a giant living dragon. I don't believe that story at all. And sure, she's not the Brave, okay? She's not little Miss Taco the Brave by any means. But I don't know any 5-year-old who's going to do that. I don't know what age they put him at here. Did they say? No, just first time. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe. But like the idea of Balon or Baelor the Black Dread or Balerion the Black Dread was gigantic. That's all I'm getting at. That's crazy to me. After Daenerys' death in 60 AC, yeah, Daenerys, that was their older sister. Jaehaerys came to consider his second daughter, Alyssa, to marry Aemon. But the idea had been discouraged by Queen Alysanne, who said that Alyssa is for Balon. Yeah, that's some creepy Targaryen incest stuff going on. There's going to be a lot of that. That's like a large majority of this video is going to be. But keep in mind, Daenerys was the older daughter, and Jaehaerys like, oh, we're gonna marry into Aemon, and then Alysanne wanted her to be heir, but he's like, oh, well, we don't have to worry about the daughter, even though she's older, being heir over the son or whatever. We'll just marry them together, but he's gonna rule. And she's like, come on. Yeah, Alysanne really wanted whoever be the older kid being a Targaryen to rule. This is the first time this came up, really, right? Yeah. Except if you wanted Dreamfire Rhaena over Jaehaerys. But yeah, anyways, moving on. But Aemon was already like kind of given the big eyes to Jocelyn Baratheon. And so Aemon married Jocelyn Baratheon. That's why Rhaenys has dark hair. And they're like, Alyssa is for Baelon. That's just some, I don't like how they say it. Targaryen says, man. The Silver Fool. In 72 AC, Eternia Duskendale in honor of Lord Duskendale's wedding to the daughter of Lord Theomore Manderly was held in Duskendale, the seat of House Targaryen. Both princes Aemon and Baelon arrived with Alyssa to compete in the Squires melee during the tourney. Baelon was defeated by Aemon, who hammered his younger brother into submission. And for this and performing well in the list, Aemon was knighted and soon after became a dragon rider, claiming Caraxes. Yeah, cool. Baelon was never far behind and won his spurs at the following year at age 16, taking part in a tourney at Old Oak. He entered the list as a mystery knight called the Silver Fool. And the Fool unhorsed Lord Rowan, Alan Ashford, and both Fossaway twins, the Lord Oakheart's heir, and Sir Denys before falling to Rickard Redwyne and Rickard Redwyne, and then Sir Rickard helped him to his feet, unmasked him, and everyone's like, "What is Baelon? What the heck?" And then it knighted him on the spot. Prince Baelon remained at Old Oak only for the feast because he was done with his mission, right? Afterwards, he returned to King's Landing to complete his quest he was on, not wanting to be overshadowed by his brother. That's his quest. He doesn't want to be overshadowed. First, knighthood. Second, dragon. That's what he needed, right? He had long since chosen which dragon he wanted to mount, and so he became a dragon rider, claiming the monstrous she-dragon Vhagar. Yeah, Viserys' old dragon, right? Vhagar spread her wings and roared and took sky with the Spring Prince on her back and flew across Dragonstone to surprise his brother. Hey, look what I got. Oh, is my dragon bigger than yours? It is. Hey, Vhagar, meet Caraxes. I hope you guys get along. No? All right. People who know, know. You guys want to go swimming in the God's Eye? All right, moving on. Training Vegon. That same year in 73 AC, one of Queen Alysanne's companions asked Vegon, one of their sons. I don't want to cover all of Jaehaerys' sons. They're kind of gonna get introduced. Well, all of their kids. They're gonna get introduced when I need them. All right. So Vegon and Della, other kids, right? When they will be wed. So because you're always marrying whatever the next son is with the next daughter in this horrible girl's family, right? So then the Vegon, who's kind of a stick in the mud, we're going to get to it. It's like, oh, are you going to marry Della? And he didn't like that. Diella? Let's go with that. Vegon insisted that she needed to find a husband who wanted stupid children. Yeah, he calls her a lot of mean names. Yeah. After Diella fled from the Hall in tears, Vagon's older sister, Alyssa, who we're going to be talking about more, emptied the flagon of wine onto Vagon's head, which he did not impress him. Instead, Vagon simply told his sister that he wasted good arbor gold, and before leaving to change his clothing. Yeah, he just like, hey, you're wasting good wine. And then he walked off, right? So following this incident, King Jaehaerys, good old Jerry, decided that Vagon would benefit from spending less time in the library, and asked his elder son, Baelon to train Vegon at arms. Baelon trained at Vegon for a year, during which time both were miserable. Yeah, so this is what Baelon said. The more drills, the worse he looks. One day, Baelon brought his sister Alyssa, dressed in mail, into the yard as a challenge for Vegon. Hopes that it might make him put up more of an effort, right? Because they kind of have a rivalry. It's a girl. You want to get beaten up by a girl, right? Dang chauvinism. And it's like, oh, he's gonna, it's gonna like so still recalling the incident with the Arbor Gold, Alyssa laughed and mocked him as she humiliated him in the yard, as Princess Dela looked down on them from the castle. When he could not take any more, Vegon threw down his sword and left the yard forever. Yeah, so it completely backfired. It's like, oh, this is going to humiliate him into trying more. But no, it humiliated him into never using his sword again. So it didn't really work out. Poor Vegon. All right, moving on. Marrying his sister. In 74 AC, Aemon became a father when Jocelyn Baratheon gave birth to their daughter, Princess Rhaenys, on the 7th day of the 7th month of the 7th year. Actually, no, it's 74. Like in all things, Baelon wasn't far behind. Baelon has always been close to his sister Alyssa, gross, and married her in 75 AC. And the bride was 15 and the groom was 18. So this one was 18 and his sister was 15. Gross. And unlike their parents, Jaehaerys and Alysanne, they did not wait to consummate their marriage. The betting that followed, the wedding feast was a great amusement to the wedding guests, for the young bride's sounds of pleasure came from their bedchamber were so loud that they could be heard from Duskendale. Gross. Even more gross were her words the next day. Yeah. All right. Come on, Alyssa. Ugh, all right. I mounted him and took him for a ride. I mean, they do the same tonight. I love to ride. Talking about your brother, dude. And he wasn't her only mount that she wanted to claim, for she claimed a dragon that year at age of 15. The dragon keepers had to stop her from claiming Balerion the Black Dread, assuring her that she would prefer a fast dragon instead of the old Black Dread. Eventually, Alyssa claimed Meleys, who had never been ridden before, and the quote red maidens, right? She was like a red dragon, so she said, "Red maidens, the two of us, but now we've both been mounted." grosses me out, dude. All right, so I added this in to make sure I said this. So I'm pro-sex, and I never shame male or female for being sexual beings. I think it's a beautiful thing. If you're a sexual being, you're a sexual being. I love it. Boy or girl, I don't shame. All right. But incest does not deserve the same celebration. Incest grosses me out. and also, I don't know, man. The fact that she's just like, oh, I love banging my brother. It's like, what are we doing here? Targaryens, man. All right. 2 sons and 2 brothers. It's just called 2 brothers. Baelon and his sister wives spent much time together, both in and out of the bedchamber, and the prince hasn't stopped smiling ever since the wedding night. Gross. Baelon was a lusty lad, and the same sounds they heard on the wedding night were heard many nights in the Red Keep. Their first child was a son that they named Viserys. You guys might know this guy, and was born in 77 AC. Although Alyssa was advised not to do it, when Viserys was only 9 days old, she put him in swaddling clothes and took him for a flight on Meleys. Afterwards, she claimed Viserys giggled the entire time. All right. 2 things. 9-day-old baby, not going to be giggling. I'm sorry. Maybe your baby's giggled. I now have a month-old baby, a little more than a month. He doesn't giggle. He just looks around. He gets a little smile. He gets little smiles. But he's like, no, you took that baby onto a dragon. So wrong. you. I don't find Alyssa. She's quirky and fun, but I don't know, man. She's kind of crazy. She's kind of crazy. She's kind of crazy girl. All right, in 83 AC, I love that his name sounds like moron. Morian Martell the Mad planned to invade the Stormlands by ship. As Dorne lacked strength by sea, he hired pirates, sellswords, and corsairs. Although Morian had hoped to take Jaehaerys unaware, the King of the Iron Throne had spies in Morian's own court and friends among some of the Dornish lords, and was therefore warned far in advance of the plans made by the Dornish prince. So Balon, together with his brother Aemon and his father King Jaehaerys I, ended the attempted invasion of the Stormlands by just mounting atop their dragons, and they destroyed the Dornish fleet before it could even make landfall. Upon their return to King's Landing, Jaehaerys, Aemon, and Balon received a riotous welcome as they won the war without losing a single man on their side. Something not even Aegon the Conqueror was able to boast. I know he took Harrenhal that way, didn't he? Just saying. All right. I know that I already talked about Alyssa flying on her dragon with her baby, but I really like the art so much that I'm using it like out of order. I'm using it here too. Yeah. All right. So losing a sister and a wife. Alyssa became pregnant for a third time. Did we talk about Daemon? Is that right at the end? Yeah. Daemon within a fortnight. Yeah. So when she gave birth. Oh, I might not have said that. I might have went off on my rant about a 9-day-old isn't giggling. So in 81, Alyssa gave birth to her second son, Daemon. Within a fortnight of his birth, she took him flying in the skies as well. All right, cool. I really like this art, so I'm using it here. So losing a sister and a wife. When Alyssa became pregnant for the third time, Balon told his brother Aemon that he was praying for a daughter. In 84 AC, after a long and difficult labor, Alyssa gave birth to a son named Aegon, another Aegon. At her bedside, Balon told her, "They call me Balon the Brave, but you are braver than me. I would sooner fight a dozen battles than do what you have just done." And Alyssa replied by saying, "You were made for battles, and I was made for this. Viserys, Daemon, and Aegon. That's 3. As soon as I am well, let's make another one. I want to give you 20 sons, an army of your own." Alyssa did not recover. They didn't get their 20 sons. She did not recover for Aegon's birth, and it died within 6 months. And Aegon died a half a year later. Yeah, so both of them didn't make it very long. Just shy of his first name day. Her death devastated Balon, who always continued to honor her memory. Yeah, sad. I mean, hey, I'm not a big fan of incest, but I'm not a fan of it at all. But it's still sad. You lost your sister. Balon's young, ambitious sister, Visera, was toying with boys and squires. So we're moving on over to the Visera. And this would have been after Ser Targaryen and Stinger and all that stuff. This is different one. Balon's young, ambitious sister, Visera, was toying with boys and squires, and the Queen, Alysanne, Queen Alysanne, knew she was too sly to go down the path that her sister Sarah went down. So good Queen Alysanne once told Jaehaerys she has no interest in kissing games, no boys. She plays with them as she used to play with her puppies. But she would no more lie with one than a dog. She aims much higher. Our Visera, I've seen the way she preens and prances around Balon. That is the husband she desires. And not for love of him, but she wants to be queen. Yeah, so Sarah was like messing around with boys, and they did their whole thing, right? And I don't need to talk about Ser Targaryen, but this chick is only playing with boys as toys because she thinks of herself as being very powerful. She's very ambitious and wants to become a queen. She doesn't just want to like, oh, I'm a princess and I mess with boys. She's like, no, they're toys. I want to marry Balon because Balon could be king one day, right? Prince Balon was 14 years older than her. He was 29 to her 15. But she knew many older lords that married younger maids. Yeah, gross. But it had been 2 years since Alysanne died, and Balon had yet shown interest in another woman. She once told her friend that he married one sister, why not another? And that she is a much prettier than Alyssa ever was with her broken nose. Yeah, Alyssa had a broken nose. Alysanne wanted to prevent it and marry her to Theomore Manderly. This is like weird. Like, didn't we just learn that Theomore Manderly married his daughter off to, like, that? Not even just like a while ago, married his daughter off. So is Theomore Manderly uber freaking old? Like, yeah, no wonder why she wants to marry Balon. Like, Balon's younger than Theomore Manderly, I'm pretty sure. I don't have the math in front of me. I don't know how old Theomore Manderly is, but just going off the fact that when Balon was like 16 and he's 29 now, Theomore's daughter was being married out to somebody, unless it's a different Theomore Manderly. She tried to ask Jerry, who dismissed her, frustrated. She she snuck. Yeah, so she, where was I? So she tries. So, she doesn't want to marry Theomore Manderly. So I don't know why I left out this sentence. So, Visera, is that her name, right? Tried to marry, tried to go ask her dad, Jerry, if she could marry Balon, but she is dismissed. So frustrated, she sneaks into Balon's bedchamber and made free with the wine as she waited. And while the prince arrived, she found her drunk and naked in his bed, and he sent her away. She was so drunk that it took 2 maids and a Kingsguard knight to get her to her bed. Not long after this, she slipped from the Red Keep with her companions, and near midnight, the princess and her companions were racing back to the Red Keep at the foot of Aegon's high hill, and Visera's horse collided with a mare of one of her companions, and she was thrown from the saddle and into a wall, and then she died. And then later, feeling guilty about all this, Prince Balon wondered if he should have been nicer to her when he found her in her bed. Yeah. That's sad. That's sad and, disturbing, like Targaryens are. But, like, yeah, she was ambitious. She didn't deserve, to get her neck broken. That stinks. Poor Visera. Pour one out for Visera. All right, let's keep going. Death of a brother. Oh, it's everybody, huh? All right. In 92 AC, Aemon led an assault on the Myrish pirates who had conquered the eastern half of Tarth, the island of Tarth, during the struggle known as the Myrish Bloodbath. On Tarth, Aemon met with Lord Cameron. There you go. Cameron Tarth in the mountains located in the center of the island where Lord Tarth had made camp. A pair of Myrish scouts eventually discovered the camp and recognized Lord Cameron. I don't know why I want to I want to mix R with the M. Caramon. No, it's Cameron. One of them took a shot at Lord Cameron with the crossbow. Although he missed Lord Tarth, Aemon, who was standing right next to Lord Cameron's side, was struck in the throat, and he drowned in his own blood. Balon flew on a Vhagar to Tarth to avenge his brother. And when the evening star in the Lord Borman's forces descended upon the Mirrormen, they had nowhere to escape, right? So he was attacking them with Vhagar as the Lord of the Stormlands and Lord of Tarth were attacking them, right? The Westerosi, including Prince Balon's wielding Dark Sister, wiped out the Myrish invaders, cutting down thousands and leaving them to rot along the beaches of Tarth. He was cheered by crowds and hailed as a hero when he returned to King's Landing. And when he saw his mother, he broke down. So I like this. The picture we see is like King Jerry meeting him, and it's all like, "Ah, you killed a bunch of people." He's like, "Yeah, I'm a man," and stuff. But then when he runs into his mom, he immediately breaks down because you just did and saw horrific stuff. So he's like, "I slew 1,000 of them, and it will not bring him back." And she just said, "I know." Like, he's like, "I just lost my brother, and now I just killed thousands of people, and I feel like it was all pointless." So, like, he's not gonna come back. And she's like, "Yeah, it's rough, man." Good Queen's like, "Yeah, for sure, dude." All right, Prince of Dragonstone. Don't worry, guys, we're getting there. Balon was named Prince of Dragonstone, an heir to the Iron Throne, by King Jaehaerys after Aemon's death, ahead of Aemon's daughter and heir, Prince Rhaenys, in 99 or 100. I saw both in two different chapters. They say this happened in 99 or they said in 100, so I wasn't really sure. I'm just saying it this way. Balon was named Hand of the King, replacing Ryam Redwyne of the Kingsguard. Balon visited his elderly mother, Alysanne, often, but as the king's heir, he was frequently busy and away with Iron Throne stuff, right, to treat with lords. Alysanne no longer able to bear living at King's Landing, and she returned to Dragonstone, where she had spent the happiest days of her life. Her final words to Balon were, "You will be a great king, even greater than your father." Yeah. And then she died. That's sad. In 101, Balon complained. In 101 AC, Balon complained of a snitch in his side during a hunting trip in the Kingswood. A pain worsened after he returned to King's Landing. His belly swelled and hardened, and eventually it became so severe that he was bedridden in the Tower of the Hand. Grand Maester Runseter, who was just arrived at King's Landing, treated Balon and was able to bring his fever down and ease the pain of with milk of the poppy. But the prince's condition worsened until he died the 5th day. His illness, Runser opened the corpse and attributed the prince's death to a burst belly, right? So it was like an appendectomy, right? His appendix exploded. I'm assuming that's what they mean by a burst belly. His funeral pyre was personally lit by King Jaehaerys, who was pretty old at this point. Later on, after his death, okay, so I left this in just because I'm not talking about House of the Dragon at all, so I just want to put this sentence in here, just in case somebody brings it up. Right, because literally nothing in the books ever mention his connection to Ulf the White. That, as far as I can tell, and I listened to a lot to try to find it, but as far as I can tell, that is just a House of the Dragon thing. We don't actually know how Ulf the White claims to be related to Targaryens. But I just wanted to say, later on, after his death, Ulf the White claims that Balon is his father, but this is a show-only canon. As far as I can tell, I couldn't find it. I tried to, maybe I didn't listen to the right chapter, but when I went through Fire and Blood to find that line of Ulf the White, they just say he was a man-at-arms at Dragonstone, and that's it. So yeah. Okay, some tinfoil. I got a few things. Should I play Poochie's Dead for this? I'm gonna. Screw it.
Poochie's dead!
Some I do, some I don't. Some tinfoil. I got a few things for Balon. He seemed to be an all right dude and would have made a decent king. First theory I found was from Underkin on a Reddit called "The Seed is Strong." All Targaryens are strong bastards theory, right? Yeah. So he's just bringing up. Yeah, he suggests that Balon is Lucamore Strong's bastard. That's fun. Go find the rest of the theory if you want a very long read. But yeah, that's the small version of it. I also know that Balon gets mentioned in Preston Jacobs' overanalyzing House of the Dragon series, stating many things about even Balon. But the one that I still remember is that Balon's hype and love from the small folk was just fabricated by the Maesters to keep the crown in his line and away from Rhaenys and Corlys. And it's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about not wanting that line to have power, right? The Maesters and even Dragon Keepers kind of keeping female writers from getting like how Alyssa wanted to ride the Black Dread, like, kind of keeping these powers down. And also once they not wanting to have Corlys be king ever, that once Rhaenys married Corlys, of just like, hey, but everybody loves Balon, everybody loves Viserys, let's let Viserys ride Balerion to make him look, like there's kind of like that thing going on. It's a really good read. I'm not going to put a link in it because it's an entire series. So if you want to, you should check out the Overanalyzing House of the Dragon video series from Preston Jacobs. There is some tinfoil by Citadel Conspirator also on Reddit. Made a post called Baelon Targaryen, I Know What You Did Last Summer. This is a weird one. It suggests that there is a clue in the Baela Bard and the Winter Rose story that suggests that it wasn't a traveling singer that impregnated Gale, which is another one of his sisters who I didn't talk about here, but actually Baelon who did it. I don't know about this one. I don't really like it. Gale followed her, was much later on when good Queen Alysanne was really old, followed her around everywhere, was her real good companion. And then she got pregnant from a traveling singer, and then she drowned. I don't really believe that story, but I really don't believe that Balon impregnated her, by the way. That's it. Just because Bael, from the story Bael the Bard, just because Bael is spelled like the first half of Balon, that's not enough evidence for me. I don't really think that Gale died the way they say, though. Honestly. All right, and let's get out of here. And lastly, I will plug one of my own videos and say that if you want to look at if Balon didn't die and became king, I do have a What If Small Council for that very thing, and I'll have it as one of the vids that pop up here. So, yeah, there you guys go. Thank you for watching. Sorry, it's kind of a long one. It's got a really big character, Baelon Targaryen, very big character. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please click like, subscribe. I'll be sure to put up my Baelon Targaryen What If Small Council. One of these. Let's make it I don't know, one of these. And yeah, you guys have a good one. Thank you for watching. I already said that. Peace.